Oh, no, it'll be.
Yeah. I gotta work.
Yes.
The guys came in. We got a fish there to play with. I said, I come to the car. It's don't play with that. Hey, we're getting my space out only 3 years. This is a
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Make sure that your cell phones are on mute. If you need to take a phone call or make a text message or something, please step outside so we can move through. Want to make sure that, like I've always said, everyone's gonna have an opportunity to talk. Let's try not to talk over each other. Let's try to keep it civil. The last city council meeting got a little bit out of hand. So we're going to make sure that that doesn't occur. Everybody gets an opportunity to speak. So, but let's try to keep it civil and respectful and respect everybody's opinions. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I declare a quorum. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If we all stand, please. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge honor and protect the flag. I pledge allegiance to the United States, one state under God, one indivisible. Again, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. I've always said that if things are going to get done here in our community, it's going to take a community effort. So I appreciate everyone coming out. Do we have any public comments, Ms. Hilda? Do you know if anybody signed up? No? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move with items requiring action by the council. Item A, discuss, consider, and take action to accept the retirement of Odem Police Chief Gerardo Ochoa. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the retirement of Odem Police Chief Ochoa.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Second. We have a motion by Councilman Dominguez to discuss, consider, and take action to accept the retirement of Odem Police Chief Gerardo Ochoa. We have a second by Councilman Alvaro. And we're going to go ahead and move to the discussion phase. I just want to say that on February 2nd, I met with Chief Ochoa, and he advised me that he was submitting his retirement papers. And today, it's just kind of a formality. We're going to go ahead and ratify and formalize the acceptance of his resignation and retirement by the City Council. And do we have any council members that have anything they'd like to discuss?
I got a couple of questions. He's still in the contract, correct?
Well, he's already resigned. So at this point, contract's no longer, it's null and void because he resigned.
Yeah, I'm just
Did he
looking,
give his 30-day notice?
No, it was effective immediately.
Because his contract states that he has to give a 30-day written notice.
Right.
And his retirement letter that he sent was February 2nd.
Correct. And I think that we discussed at the council meeting that we would go ahead and accept, we would go ahead and allow him to go ahead and take his early vacation, for lack of a better word.
That was voted on?
I think at the meeting, it was discussed, he submitted his resignation or retirement. You know, the mayor met with him and they came to terms on his retirement. That was submitted according to that. Then there was a subsequent conversation where at that point, the chief accepted an alternative and said, you know what, instead of working the 30 days, which would have been a 30-day notice, I'll retire immediately, which just give me a day to come clean up the office and then and that's what happened. So when he gave his notice, I mean, he would have been at the 30 days because he was saying, you know, I'll retire at the end of the month. And this retirement is pretty much a formality. Because no action taken after he he's got to days once he gets notice. And if there's no action, it's automatic. He's already retired. So this is a formality of the office. It's not going to affect anything, or this contract's not going to affect this decision here. When you retire, well, other than the month, but other than that,
the entire sheet paid for the current unused leave, so that's 4 weeks. How many weeks do you have vacation?
In 2 weeks.
So that's what that makes 2 weeks. I'm gonna be on my settings. Make sure that this is the progress. And remember also, well, the things happened in, the newspaper came out today and we're in the newspaper, so, and it's all, you know, about the Lone Star grant. What's gonna happen there if there's any, you know, problems with the Lone Star? Does he come back and finish the audits, or how does that
Well,
work?
At the last, we approved bringing in an outside consultant.
Okay, that's-
So the outside consultant will come in, he'll review the discrepancies. They will hopefully assist us in putting together an action plan.
Okay.
They will provide a report to us, and any findings that they present to us, you know, will be addressed. If there was anything done, if they find that anything may have been done intentionally, you know, well, then we'll take actions at that time. But right now, again, it's going to be basically an internal investigation with an outside consultant.
Okay.
And we'll wait until his report comes in, and then the council can review it and take action based on their report.
Okay. Just-
We agreed on that meeting.
Yeah. I just realized, yeah.
So it's not going to be, I mean, $143,000 is a lot of money. You know, that's not budgeted in our account
Well, that's correct.
for our year. So we have to make sure that that this is looked into. We have to make sure that moving forward, we accept any future grants, that we have the policies and procedures in place, that everything that was in this preliminary report has been addressed. And that's what this outside consultant will be doing for us.
The policy and procedures, whenever you mentioned that at the other meeting, the police department already has policy and procedures. So that's what the governor's office, that's what they meant when they said policy and procedures. Now, as far as
Can I do
the
that? Can we assist
the overtime and all that, then they fall under the city along with the overtime with the other employees, because their overtime is not in their policy and procedures, but they already have a policy and procedure.
Well, again, that's kind of going off topic, but it's the police department has their policy and procedures as far as how they're going to run the department. There are no policies and procedures in place on how to manage grant funds. There was no ledger in place on how they're going to manage grant funds. And again, like I've explained, the consultant will be looking at that. They will be looking at what policies and procedures the police department has in place right now. They'll look at policy and procedures that the city has in place right now. And if they find that, in their report that, those things weren't in place, then we'll address them. And they're going to be addressed individually. So.
Just for future reference, Mayor, is this the only grant that the PD has?
Right now, it's the only grant that we have. We have another. The Lone Star grant was approved, but it is on hold. To respond to these concerns. So at this point we have no real active grants that we can. Now there were 4 additional grants prior to the Lone Star grant. There was a border grant, and I can't think off the top of my head what the other grants were.
Vehicles.
Yeah.
Vehicles.
Well, I think we had the one vehicle that's purchased through a grant, which is the gray SUV. So I know there's some misconception that all the vehicles were bought through grants. There's only one vehicle, the gray SUV that y'all see, that was purchased by grant. The other vehicles were purchased either by the city or with vehicles that were impounded and traded to purchase other vehicles. So that's a misconception. I know that I've heard conversations in public about that. Well, all the vehicles, were bought with grants. No, one vehicle was bought through a grant. So, and again, the outside consultant will come in, they'll provide a report to us, and then the council will look at it and address it in the future. So hopefully that can be done pretty quickly.
Can we get more time on the date extension?
I'm going to try to submit a report to the governor's office next week. Let them know that we have a city administrator in place now. We'll hopefully bring in a consultant next week to kind of look at everything and see if they can help us. And then we'll report to the office of the governor and hopefully get a. What I'm going to probably do is ask them for about 6 months if they can provide that much time to us, and hopefully in 6 months we can get a report together. Any other questions? So we're going to move on to the vote. We have a motion on the floor to discuss, consider, and take action to accept the retirement of Odem Police Chief Gerardo Ochoa by Councilman Dominguez. There was a second by Councilman Alvaro. Place 1?
Yes.
Place 2?
Yes.
Place 3?
Yes.
Place 4?
No.
Place 5?
No.
So the motion passes 3-2, 3 yeses and 3 noes, 2 noes. Councilman Huerta, Councilman Alvaro, and Councilman Dominguez vote yes. Councilman Falcon and Councilman Candela vote no, but the motion carries. Item B, discuss, consider, and take action regarding the future of the Odem Police Department and to retain or dissolve the police department. Do I have a motion?
I move that well, it's for discussion.
Okay, I have a motion for discussion by Councilman Falcon. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And second by Councilman Dominguez. Any discussion? So I'll start off by saying that since October 1st, the city has had only one officer working and maintaining the city. Since Mr. Ochoa has resigned, the Odem Police Department no longer has any staff to address the required registering of offenders, motor vehicle accidents, 911 calls, and reports of other potential illegal activity within the city limits. Sheriff Rivera, along with Lieutenant Martinez from the DPS, I met with them by phone, and they advised me that they would be able to assist us. And I have Sheriff Rivera here. Sir, would you like to come up and just tell us a little bit about how we can have the Sheriff's Department help out?
Thank you all for the invite. My name is Oscar Rivera. I'm the sheriff of San Patricio County. I've been in conversation with the mayor for several months, probably right around September or so, about the problem we're having in Odem. And I've expressed my concerns for two things. I live just north of Odem. This is our hangout, and it's important to me that we take care of our community. And I've said all along that we don't have boundaries when it comes to public safety, and we will not have boundaries when it comes to public safety. So we make the offer that if you decide to lower your police staff, that we would take care of the calls when need be. And we've done that. We've taken care of the calls on weekends and after 4 o'clock every day. Now this situation has come about. State law requires us to provide law enforcement coverage in the absence of police officers. And so we are still committed to do that. There's some concerns we've got right now over the disbanding of Odem. Number one was the sex offenders. Odem has 19 sex offenders registered in Odem. This morning, we were flooded with phone calls. In fact, we had 11 that called in because they don't want to get arrested because they're obligated by law to report their standings to the law enforcement agency that doesn't exist. So we went ahead and talked to those 11 that called in and started making arrangements to take care of those so that they don't violate their probation requirements to register. The second concern we have is that we have wanted people in the TCIC and CIC system that were entered as wanted persons from Odem. We can confirm those wanted people, but the question is, how do we confirm with the city where the status is of their case? We can't do that. We have no clue what the warrant's about. We have no clue about the case at all. Second part of that, you have stolen property, stolen vehicles that are entered into the system with TCIC and CIC. We can confirm that they're wanted. We can confirm that the vehicle is stolen, but we can't confirm what the status of the case is. So that's something that needs to be addressed as well, is where we stand with those kind of cases. Another one that's real concern of mine is evidence. Where are we with evidence for Odem, and what's going to happen to the evidence is there now? So those are the concerns that we have. As far as where we stand, we're going to be here tomorrow. We're going to be here the next day. I know there's some concerns in the community about the response time. The response time has been the same for 40 years, 45 years that I've been here. We're going to get here. When it comes to a 911 call, I can assure you people come from every direction. DPS will tell you, constables, dog catchers, game wardens, everybody shows up when it comes to an emergency. Where we're having problems is the person that gets their property stolen. I want somebody here now. Well, of course, they're upset because property got stolen, but we have priorities. We are 6 people short. We have people at the hospital we have to take care of. We're going to get here. It's not going to be an hour. It's going to be as soon as we get here, and we're going to make it a prompt attempt. But if it's an emergency, we're going to be here. This is the other option that I spoke to the mayor about is, yes, we're 6 people short, but let's try to hire somebody for Odem, specifically for Odem. And why is that important to us? My staff doesn't like the idea of it. We're 6 people short. Are you going to go ahead and prioritize Odem? Yes. For one reason is we'll know that we have someone stationed in Odem every day, Monday through Friday. I'm going to say 7:30 to 4:30. Why 7:30? The school zones. To 4:30. To have someone that we can depend on that's going to be in Odem every day. In the absence of that person, we have an outside deputy has to come and take care of that call. Have that person stationed in Odem. They live here, they're responsible for Odem, and know that Odem is their community. If we hire a person with those expectations that this is what you're going to be doing, is take care of Odem. It's important to me because Odem's important to me. Just take care of Odem first. And then we'll take the other 5 for the rest of the county we have vacancies at. And start with that. At least every sergeant, every corporal will know that we have somebody in Odem Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 4:30. That's my goal if you all decide to disband. I'm not here to either way, whichever direction we want to take, but that's our consideration is let's talk about how we can at least address that portion. We have schools, we have churches in town, we have businesses in town that require a presence here, and not a 30-minute response time. We need it here when it comes to these typical hours. The heaviest traffic in Odem is then. We did post our traffic sign, our street sign over by Danny, 2 reasons. One, we have to bring it in every week to charge the darn thing, but we plug it into his plug now. We at least it's charged up, and we can run the device there at the location. So it helps slow down the traffic that comes through Odem. Just have another one put at the other end. That's where we are, Mayor. And I'll welcome any questions that I can answer for you.
You also got the 2 police officers there at the school.
I do. We're not contracted with Odem School District, but the school district is contracted with our deputies. So we do have 2 deputies stationed at the school every day. And they, of course, they all have the radio, they all check in and all. Should there be a disaster in Odem, of course they would respond in a heartbeat. The advantage of having a deputy in Odem is that one thing we talked about, what about hiring a 1-person? My concern about 1-person department, if that person is not a supervisor, who do they go for advice? Do they call the mayor? Do they call the city manager? Who do they call? At least a county employee, a deputy here, has a sergeant, has a corporal, has a lieutenant, has a chief, has a sheriff that can answer the question for them, have an investigator that can respond to their needs. And that's one of the concerns that I have. Second part of that, do you really want to bear the liability of a new person? Or you want us to bear the liability? What's it costing you? Nothing.
So the cost, are we looking at, like, the city would reimburse the sheriff's department for this 1 deputy, or would it be the cost that the sheriff's department would?
No, that's our cost. We're not asking the city for any money. We're not asking for a car. We're just saying, this is what we can offer. We're not here to make money out of the city of Odem. By God, we know you got no problems as it is.
Yeah.
That's correct. Like that, the only other problem we have, really talking about is how to resolve the problems with ordinances. We can't, by statute, enforce ordinances. No. However, I will check with our legal departments and how we can that and check with our legal department as well. If they enter into a contract, simply for the ordinances. Not a monetary thing or anything, but a contract saying, with a contract, the city order to handle the ordinances. The ordinances violations not mean that great. And you really need to hire a resource officer or a code enforcement officer for the minor things you have for ordinance violations. Really, the big ordinance violation is going to be the firecrackers. Section 100 registration where they can and can't stay. Those kind of things are probably more important to you as a city than whether somebody's selling popcorn at the corner stores or something.
So let me ask you, Sheriff, you guys have investigators, detectives, I guess, that investigate, stolen vehicles, those kinds of crimes, like property crimes.
That's correct. We have 4 investigators and 2 separate people that handle. One handles narcotics, one that handles special incidents, and one that handles stolen vehicles.
So,
And we have ones that handles sex offenders every Tuesday.
So by the city taking these steps, we basically we would have those services in hand for our community. Correct?
We do that now. We have those services now, not only just Odem, but everyone else in PAP, Gregory, Mathis utilizes our services when it comes to our CID division. Even the Texas Rangers use our analysts to handle the crime scenes because we hired their person.
So I think that's a benefit to us that we have the full force of the sheriff's department for all crimes, and not just focusing on traffic and ordinance and stuff like that, because I think that's the biggest concern that I hear, at the coffee shops myself is, well, what about if this happens? And of course, they can give you 100 scenarios and never cover them all. So what I try to explain to them is we would have the entire arsenal of the sheriff's department if there was ever an emergency or any type of property crime or anything like that. And I think that's would be beneficial for our community as far
Well,
as
you know, Odem has not been the only one that's had problems. Taft has had problems in the past. Taft has called in the middle of the night. We don't have any officers. Can you handle this? That will take care of you. Gregory has had the same problems. What do? Mathis Police Department has had a problem. We have no dispatchers. Can you all handle your dispatch? Absolutely. Send our calls over. That's what we're about. You know, we got to help each other out. And if you don't, you know, what are we doing? We try to put a pencil to what it would cost to run Odem. We take a $45,000 employee, maybe $50,000 employee that we have nowadays, times 4, with $200,000. We just bought 10 cars. I know what they cost, $50,000 a car. You're not $300,000. Then we start talking about insurance, then we talk about utilities. The cost goes on and on and on. A lot of cities make a big mistake by trying to depend on traffic citations to take care of it. It doesn't work that way. I said that in this court many years ago, that it's not a money-making business. The fire departments and your police departments are the worst enemies. It is with ours. And I'll tell you, just medically for our jail is a good example of that. The taxpayers' money, paying money, $250,000 at the very first year for medical, it brings no return. Law enforcement is a very expensive expense that brings no returns. Yes. That's not kind. It happens the same thing we're doing right now. We're taking care of calls. We're here every day.
How many police officers do you have patrolling the county?
We have an average of 7. We normally had 10, but we're so short-handed. No. No, we call the South Deputy handles Edward and Odem. And so the backup is sitting, and the other backup is Taft.
We also have one that lives in Odem, correct? We also have a deputy that lives here in Odem.
Yes.
So that's a plus.
I know DPS is here, Sergeant Bryant, is that correct?
Ryan Fitzbeck.
We're here to assist the sheriff with whatever he needs, as far as the traffic crashes, stuff like that. Obviously, if you decide to expand, then we will step in and assist them.
Okay, and you guys would primarily, of course, 911, emergency, critical calls, whatever.
That's not our main focus. Our main focus is traffic supervision.
Okay.
The sheriff's office needs backup, obviously, when I know we can handle it.
Right.
I can tell you that we had an incident in Odem that happened a few months ago that we had a bad situation going on in Sinton where we had 4 of our deputies at that call. We had a disturbance here. 3 of his troopers were here at the call in Odem. They held the scene for us, but they were here for us in no time flat. And that's a blessing to know that they monitor our channel. They have our radio frequencies. They're here and they support us. And so to think that Odem was in a danger, no. We had people tied up in a severe call, but yet we had troopers here taking care of that situation. It was a family disturbance, but they were here. And so that's a plus. Odem has not been in that situation. Yes.
When you say traffic, residential and highway, or just?
Primarily, we focus majority of our time on the highways.
Okay.
Obviously, we're shorthanded as well, so we're not gonna have somebody just sitting all day in Odem.
No, I understand.
But we do patrol the whole county, so we try to spread it out as best we can.
Okay.
And let me explain what he's talking about, the crashes, because we don't work crashes in San Francisco County. We did open an account with TxDOT to work crashes when we had Odem Police Department at the time. We shut it down 4 years ago, and we don't have any intentions of reopening that account again. So it takes an account to work these crashes and train your employees to work crashes. So we don't want to get into that business. That's what we told the mayor on the onset. We'll cover your calls after 4 o'clock and weekends, but we're not going to handle crashes. DPS stepped up and said, we'll work your crashes for you. Even though they didn't have to, they did.
So you had it back when we had a contract with y'all before?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
One of the things that the sheriff's talking about with the CRIS system, you have to have, in order to operate the CRIS system, has to be approved. With your chief, I don't think you have approved, because we routinely get calls looking for crash reports that we're not able to locate.
Right.
So I'm not sure.
Yeah, require somebody to check and balance when it comes to crashes. And so without having a one-man department, he came approve his own reports. So that became a problem.
Well, Sergeant, I know one of the biggest complaints around here is the semi trucks running the red light. So, and I know it's probably a big complaint everywhere, right? But I know that you guys do the text dot inspections on these vehicles, and I think that was one of the things that our officers were a little concerned about. They didn't want to overstep their boundaries. So I think a lot of times the community was like, well, the Odem police officer was right there, and the semi ran the red light, and they didn't even pull him over. And I had to try to explain to him and say, well, there's concerns about overstepping their boundaries when it comes to text dot, and what DPS does. So I know that that's something that you guys.
Yes, we have a commercial vehicle enforcement trooper. They do spend a lot of time in your city. I see them quite often. The answer to the sergeant out of Corpus, but I do see them inspecting trucks quite often here in your city.
Right.
Now, one of the requirements that I am going to make as Odem deputy is that they work traffic in Odem.
Yeah.
And we are very limited with radars, but since we were a recipient of the Senate 22 bill, we are receiving some funds hopefully in March, and we've asked to order 32 radars for all our cars and equip all our cars with radars. And so that'll be a plus for the community as well.
Well, I can, talking to the grant with the Office of the Governor's Office, it's my understanding, but I have to get clarification, that if we do dissolve the police department, whatever was purchased under the grant, we're supposed to hand over to the agency that takes over, overseeing the police or policing our community. So I know that there were some radars. There was a vehicle also that was purchased through this grant. I have to get clarification on it, but that's the way she explained it to me, that if we were to disband, that we needed to get with them about handing anything that was purchased through grant over to the agency that was going to be overseeing the city. So, but again, I'd have to just get clarification on that. Thank you, Sergeant. Appreciate it.
We're here for your needs, and we will continue being here for your needs and for every city that needs our help. But we got to hear from you and see. Let us know what your intentions are, what your needs are, and we'll follow suit. I don't want the people in Odem to think that they're going to be blindsided, not have anybody here to take care of them. We're going to be here, and we have a commitment to do that, and that's our responsibility. That's our job.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to change my motion to table this to for further discussion. If we get a new city administrator, he can do some discovery with the sheriff.
One of the things that I did discuss with Texas, the TICO is the name of the agency that polices the police, is what happens if you disband the police department? He says, well, they're going to be subject to the new rules, and those rules is, of course, have a full-time budget, is have a certain weapons accessible to the employee, less lethal weapons, evidence lockers, inspections, and what have you. So Odem is not the only one right now with a problem. So is Lake City, because they have the same situation where they don't have anybody at Lake City and so they have a licensed facility as well. So those are the two concerns we've got right now with Lake City and Odem, of how we're going to handle those situations with TICO.
What was that, Ms. Yolanda?
I had that question too. What happens if we disband, and what happens if later we want to change our mind, and how hard is it going to be to?
That was my concern. Is exactly is that I've heard the terms suspend the agency. I've heard disband. What's the difference? According to them, there's no difference. It's one's like the other. But my concern is in the future, how much of a problem you're going to have to open the. My dream is that Odem is going to grow and Odem is going to be fine again. And it's just going to take a little bit of each other helping each other out to get this thing resolved. But at some point, Odem wants to continue with what they were doing. They were in the right path. And if anybody asks me about Odem Police Department, what I think of Odem Police Department, that's the best thing ever happened to Odem. They had somebody here locally, and they were dependable. We know that at least they were here. So do I have any regrets of them not being here? Yeah, of course I do. Any police officer would tell you that having more police officers in a city is much more advantageous to all of us, and especially response times. So, yes, I'm sorry that Odem had to do what they had to do, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do to survive, and I commend you for that. But it's our turn to help out as well.
So if, and I don't know if there is a way for us to keep our department, how's that going to affect the services that we receive from DPS and the sheriff's department if we don't have anybody in the department at this time? And, you know,
What I would suggest is that at this point, I mean, there's a lot to be, I guess, investigated, looked into. And I mean, we're at no point to making a decision whether to dissolve or disband the police department. But I would suggest that, you know, if anything, temporarily deactivate the department. That way we're not getting rid of it, we're just deactivating it. And it could be activated later on once we figure out all the nuances of this thing and how it's gonna work. Is it feasible for the city to continue with it? I think you deactivate it at this point, and you would get the full benefit of the sheriff having that one officer here and DPS being able to take over accidents.
So how will we do that?
And we're not dissolving it.
So how will we do that?
is
Can we
that
just-
something we can do?
That's,
My suggestion is to make a phone call to the T-Code and find out what the procedures would be and what the expectations are if you decide to open again. And make sure you don't fall yourself in a trap that you can't come back.
Right.
like I said, I'd rather just table it for, just, you know, we can probably bring this up.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow his lead. I'll second to table it. We can even have a workshop.
There you go.
Well, let's go ahead and hold on, because I want to make sure before we table this, are we still going to continue? I mean, I want to make sure that we're going to have the services of the sheriffs and DPS while we wait and decide what we want to do.
Well, good point. I got the phone call last Friday from Mr. Ochoa that he was leaving. So at that time, that means we got it now. 24/7. No 7 o'clock in the morning, we got it. And so we didn't handle this since last Friday. In fact, I called him first and let him know that they Odem just shut down, so what we're gonna do. Are you ready? He said, yeah, let's do it. So we started action last Friday.
Perfect. Thank you.
You were telling us earlier, basically, what you were saying is that we need more than one person we're gonna keep. We need at least 2. Right?
So our policy mandates that you have a police department, their primary responsibility is to take care. So you need somebody that checks and balances like the sheriff said.
All right. So we're going to go ahead. You want to make your motion?
I would add this to table for further discussion.
Okay. Second. Okay. So we're going to go. We have a motion by Councilman Falcon to table for further discussion. A second by Councilman Huerta. If we have no more discussion, we're going to go ahead and vote on that motion. Place 1,
Yes.
place 2, place 3,
Yes.
place 4,
Yes.
place 5. Thank you.
May I have
very
your excuse,
much.
sir?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help and everything.
Sergeant, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and move to item C. Discuss, consider, and take action on employment contract for the position of county administrator between the city of Odem and Mr. Salome Hernandez III. I have a motion.
I move that we approve the,
So I have a motion to approve the contract by Councilman Falcon. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Candela. She beat you. We're going to move on to the discussion phase. Any discussion, council?
Everything went good with the contract, right? It's the one you sent us, right?
Yes, sir. And Epi's revised it just one time, I think, and then I send that back to y'all. So
can you give it the clip notes on this?
Cliff notes, Cliff notes.
That's a lot.
That's why I told him I'd get
No,
back.
I read it.
I told my kids,
It was a briefing.
Uh, Sal, I think you had an opportunity to review the contract that was revised. Epi, do I have to go through the contract a little bit, or
No,
I think
discussion that.
we discussed it last time?
You read it? I know you read it.
Okay.
Everybody's read it. Okay, we approve it.
All right, so if there's any more discussion, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the, to vote. Place one?
Yes.
Place two? Place three?
Yes.
Place four?
Yes.
Place five? Motion carried unanimously to approve the employment contract for the position of city administrator between the city of Odem and Salome Hernandez III. Thank you. So we're gonna move on. We will be swearing him in here. Judge, where's the judge? Is she there? She is. So, we want to go ahead and take care of that now, or just, okay? Yeah, all right, Judge. Well, come on over, Judge.
We got the media here, hey. We just stand, we just stand behind.
Mhm.
We just stand behind them. That's what we do.
Just like last time.
So we're gonna go ahead and,
Thank you, everyone. I'm Judge Guerrero, and I am the judge for the Odem Municipal Court. And at this time, I'm going to Salome, I'm so sorry, I spelled it Salome. You'll raise your right hand, please. I, Salome Hernandez III, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will have directly or indirectly offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money of value or promise in public office or employment as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation. Therefore, so help me God. Okay, now let me do the second one, sir. And you'll raise your hand again. I, Salome Hernandez III, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Odem City Administrator and of the state of Texas. I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States. So help me God. Congratulations.
Congrats. So we are going to go ahead and, I'm gonna move over here to the podium and have the council sign the contract. We're gonna go ahead and, have it.
Right here, sir. Can we use your pen? Is it right?
Right here, I'm sorry.
It's gold. Get
It's blue.
To the state. Thank you. This 13th day. Congratulations. We can fix that again.
Nice pins.
I'm gonna pick them up. You sure you want to do that?
I think there's actually, I think there's a basic report.
Yes.
Sign, sir.
Congratulations.
All right, Sam. You can sign. Seal right here. It's official. You're in trouble. So let's all
I'm gonna get in there by myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with him.
Okay, total bomb.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm good.
No, sorry.
I'm good. No.
Oh, you're gonna.
Thank you. Welcome aboard. Thank you.
We can't afford a cake.
What's a cake, Hilda?
I was gonna ask, but.
Oh, you did? Yes. Whoa. I would have paid for it. You have to put in a PO. What happened to this tree?
I did that.
Come take your spot.
So, do we, no plate yet? So we're gonna move on to, any reports, place one, any report?
Yeah, I spoke to TechStop today. They're gonna start the east side of the sidewalk.
Huh.
But they call me not as a councilman, they call me as a business owner. And they're only gonna stop right there where the building is, but then I spoke to Robert Sassy from TechStop. Y'all recall, they wanted to go all the way to the fire hydrant because there's a, where the water drain goes.
Right.
So they're gonna come back and assess the situation. They said, okay, I said, it's only 20 feet of concrete.
Yeah, good.
So, hopefully you can convince them as well, and Jesse.
Well, I was gonna call them tomorrow because they were there today and I said, hey, there's a red, no, no, bring it all the way because they more drainage. You need more drainage in that corner.
Not only that, but the water stays stagnant.
Yeah.
So that way.
Yeah, I'll talk to them.
That curb and gutter will help the drain.
Yeah, I'll talk to them also.
Well, I think that we've kind of negotiated a few things along the way because they're using our piece of property to store their equipment. So I think we can negotiate that as well. So, place two, any reports? Would you like to report? Place three? I'm sorry. Yeah, actually, it should be coming in this week. Yeah, so hopefully we can start patching the holes here pretty soon. Place 4?
Yes. Good news. The EDC is planning a surprise, what is it, helicopter egg drop?
Hey, not surprised, but yes, actually for
We're gonna do-
Easter.
For Easter, egg drop, time and date and place to be determined.
It'll be the 23rd or the
Oh.
24th
Correct.
of March, which is the weekend before Easter. We're trying to work with the school, and we'd like to get the school involved as well, and maybe we can do it out at the football field. I think that would be a great place. Maybe we can get the news media to come to that event as well over there, Miss Victoria.
No, Channel 3 said they were coming. I don't know.
So, you know, so it'll be March the 23rd or the 24th, and we will be putting out that information as soon as we know. So I didn't forget about you. Place 5. Okay. So again, I want to thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate it. Like I said over and over again, if we're going to make some changes around here, we have to have community support and community involvement. We now have a city administrator, and we're excited to get the ground running. We have a lot to do. I've already met with him. I've met with him, and I'm in the process of scheduling some meetings with our senator and with our representative, our local representative, and also with the Texas EDC, with the Texas Economic Development, that Mr. Sal, our new administrator, will be going out hopefully and visiting with them, trying to develop some kind of relationship with them, and hopefully help bring maybe some new businesses, maybe some new development into our community. So I'm excited, very excited. Thank you for coming on board. On the 15th and 14th. We're going to move on to item number 4. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilman Dominguez, second by Councilman Candela, and we are adjourned.